My phone died at exactly midnight while I was scrolling through my late husband's old photos. The screen went black without warning, and I was left sitting in complete darkness in my apartment. But that wasn't the strange part. The strange part came 3 minutes later when the phone suddenly lit up on its own and my dead husband's face appeared on the screen, calling me. Not a photo, a video call from a number I had deleted 6 months ago when I buried him. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 34 years old, and until that night, I thought I had processed my grief in a healthy way. I thought I had moved on. I thought I understood that Marcus was gone and that life had to continue. But when I saw his face on that screen, smiling at me the way he used to smile when he wanted to tell me something important, every single thing I believed about death, about technology, about reality itself, got turned upside down. Let me back up, because this story doesn't actually start at midnight. It starts 6 months earlier, on a Tuesday morning in March, when 2 police officers knocked on my door at 6:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I looked at the clock, thinking Marcus had forgotten his keys again. He was always forgetting his keys. But it wasn't Marcus. It was Officers Chen and Rodriguez, and the looks on their faces told me everything before they even opened their mouths. There had been an accident. A truck had run a red light. Marcus died instantly. He never felt any pain. That's what they told me, as if that was supposed to make it better. The funeral was on Friday. Over 200 people showed up because Marcus was one of those people everyone loved. He was a high school teacher, history and social studies, and every single one of his students thought he was the coolest teacher in the world. At the funeral, 3 of his former students spoke about how he had changed their lives. One girl said he was the reason she decided to become a teacher herself. A boy talked about how Marcus had helped him through his parents' divorce. Another student said Marcus was the only adult who ever really listened to him. I sat there in the front row, wearing the black dress Marcus had always hated because he said I looked too serious in it, and I listened to all these people talk about the man I loved, and all I could think was, I'll never hear his voice again. I'll never hear him laugh at his own stupid jokes. I'll never hear him sing off-key in the shower. I'll never hear him call my name from the other room just because he wanted to show me some funny video on his phone. That last thought about the phone stuck with me. Marcus was obsessed with his phone, not in an addicted way, but in a documenting every moment way. He took photos of everything: our coffee cups in the morning, the sky when it looked interesting, me when I was reading or cooking or just sitting around. He took videos constantly, little snippets of conversations, random thoughts he wanted to remember, jokes he made up. He had this whole philosophy about it. He used to say, "Sarah, our memories are all we have. Our brains are terrible at remembering things accurately, but if we capture these little moments, we can revisit them forever. We can remember what life actually felt like." So he captured everything. And after he died, I had thousands of photos and videos of him, of us, of our life together. At first, I couldn't look at them. It hurt too much. My best friend Jenna told me that was normal. She said grief works in stages and that I would know when I was ready. So I put his phone in a drawer and tried to move forward. I went back to work after 2 weeks. I'm a graphic designer and I work from home, which meant I spent a lot of time alone with my thoughts. My coworkers were understanding. They gave me space. They didn't push, but I could tell they were worried about me. Jenna came over almost every day for the first month. She would bring food, usually Thai takeout, because she knew I wouldn't cook for myself. She would sit with me on the couch and we would watch mindless TV shows. Sometimes we talked about Marcus. Sometimes we didn't talk at all. She was just there. One night, about 2 months after the funeral, Jenna asked me, "Have you gone through his things yet?" I knew what she meant. Marcus's clothes were still in the closet, his shoes were by the door, his toothbrush was still in the bathroom, and his half of the bed was exactly as he had left it that Tuesday morning. I shook my head. "I can't," I told her. "If I put his things away, it means he's really gone." "Sarah," Jenna said gently, "he is really gone." "I know that," I snapped. "I know he's not coming back. but I'm not ready to erase him from the apartment. Not yet." "Okay," Jenna said gently. "Take your time. There's no rush. But eventually, you're going to have to face it." I knew she was right. But knowing something and being ready to do something are two completely different things. It took me 4 months to even open Marcus's phone. I had been paying the bill every month just to keep the number active. I told myself it was because I didn't want to deal with canceling it. But the truth was, I wasn't ready to let go of that last connection to him. One Saturday in July, I woke up feeling different. Not better, exactly, but stronger somehow. Like I had finally slept enough to face what needed to be faced. I went to the drawer where I had put his phone and pulled it out. The battery was completely dead, obviously. I plugged it into the charger and waited. When it finally turned on, I had to enter his passcode. He had shown it to me once, made me memorize it in case of emergencies. 8296, August 29th, 1996, the day we met in college. The phone unlocked, and I was immediately hit with dozens of notifications. Missed calls from me in those first days after he died when I kept calling his number just to hear his voicemail. Text messages from friends who hadn't heard the news yet. App notifications that had stacked up over months. I dismissed all of them and went straight to his photos. That's where I lived for the next 3 weeks. Every night after work, I would sit on the couch with his phone and scroll through the thousands of photos and videos he had taken. I saw our entire relationship laid out in digital form. The early days when we were dating, both of us looking so young and carefree. Our wedding day, me in my white dress, him in his dark blue suit, both of us grinning like idiots. Our honeymoon in Italy, where Marcus insisted on taking a photo at every single landmark. Our first apartment together, small and cramped but full of love. Christmases and birthdays and random Tuesday afternoons. I watched videos of him talking to the camera, making observations about life, telling stories, making me laugh even though he was gone. In one video, he was sitting in our living room and he looked directly at the camera and said, "You know what I love most about life? It's these quiet moments. It's sitting here on a random Wednesday night with nowhere to be and nothing urgent to do. It's knowing that Sarah is in the next room reading her book, and I'm out here thinking my thoughts, and we're both just existing together in the same space. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's what makes life worth living." I must have watched that video 50 times. Another video was from our anniversary dinner last year. He had propped the phone up on the table and recorded us talking and laughing. In the video, I was telling him some story about a difficult client, and he was listening with that expression he always had when he was really paying attention. Then the video caught the moment when he reached across the table and took my hand, and I stopped talking mid-sentence and just smiled at him. You could see on both our faces exactly how much we loved each other. That video broke me. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. But I also watched it over and over because it reminded me that what we had was real, that I wasn't imagining how good it was. There were also videos that were more mundane. Marcus filming his drive to work and commenting on bad drivers. Marcus filming himself trying to fix the garbage disposal and getting increasingly frustrated. Marcus filming our cat, Professor Whiskers, doing literally nothing and narrating it like it was the most interesting thing in the world. I spent hours watching these videos, listening to his voice, seeing his face, remembering what it felt like to have him in my life. And slowly, very slowly, I started to feel like maybe I could survive this. Maybe I could learn to live with the grief instead of being destroyed by it. That's where my head was on the night my phone died at midnight. I had been lying in bed, scrolling through more of Marcus's photos on his phone, when my own phone, which was sitting on the nightstand, suddenly went dark. I picked it up and tried to turn it on, but nothing happened. The battery was completely drained. I had forgotten to charge it. I plugged it in and went back to looking at Marcus's phone. But then, about 3 minutes later, my phone lit up. Not the slow fade of a phone turning back on after being charged. This was instant, like someone had flipped a switch. The screen was bright, showing an incoming video call, and the name on the screen said Marcus Mitchell. I stared at it for a long moment, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. It had to be a glitch, some weird technical malfunction. Maybe the phone company had reassigned his number, and the new person happened to be calling me. That had to be it. But then the video connected before I even touched the screen, and there he was, Marcus, my dead husband, on a video call, looking exactly as he had looked the last time I saw him alive. He was wearing his favorite gray hoodie, the one with the coffee stain on the sleeve that he refused to throw away. He was sitting in what looked like our living room, though something about the lighting seemed off. And he was smiling at me with that warm, familiar smile that had made me fall in love with him 12 years ago. "Sarah," he said, and his voice was exactly right. Not tinny or distorted like a recording, just his voice. "Hey, sweetheart." I dropped the phone, literally dropped it on the bed and scrambled backward until my back hit the headboard. Marcus said, "I'm asking you to move forward while knowing that I did exist. I'm asking you to take all the love we had and use it to fuel the rest of your life instead of letting it anchor you to the past." "That's easy for you to say," I said, anger suddenly flaring up. "You're not the one who got left behind. You're not the one who has to figure out how to live in a world where the person you love most doesn't exist anymore." "You're right," Marcus said. "It's not fair. None of this is fair. You got dealt the worst possible hand, and I hate that. I hate that I can't be there with you. I hate that you have to do this alone. But Sarah, you're so much stronger than you think you are. You always have been. Remember when we first met? You were that quiet girl in the corner of the library who never talked to anyone, and I was the obnoxious guy who wouldn't stop bothering you until you agreed to have coffee with me." I smiled through my tears. "You were so annoying." "I was persistent," Marcus corrected with a grin. "There's a difference. And do you remember what you told me on our first real date? You said you had spent your whole life being invisible, being the person people overlooked, and you had convinced yourself that was okay, that being invisible meant you couldn't get hurt." "I did say that," I admitted. "And I told you that being invisible wasn't protecting you," Marcus continued. "It was just preventing you from really living. And you decided to take a chance. You decided to be seen. You decided to build a life with me even though you were terrified. And look at what we created together. We had 12 incredible years. We built a home. We made each other better. We loved each other so completely that even death can't erase it." "So what does that have to do with now?" I asked. "It means you already know how to do this," Marcus said. "You already know how to be brave. You've done it before. You chose to live fully once, and you can choose it again." "I don't want to choose it again without you," I said. "I know," Marcus said softly, "but you have to. Because the alternative is wasting the rest of your life being a ghost yourself. And I didn't capture thousands of moments of you, of us, just so you could stop having moments worth capturing." "How long," I asked suddenly, "how long can you do this? How long can you talk to me like this?" Marcus's expression changed, became more serious. "That's the thing I need to tell you. This isn't permanent. This digital space I'm in, it's not stable. It's like, imagine if your consciousness was stored on a hard drive that's slowly corrupting. Every time I reach out like this, every time I use energy to manifest in a way you can see and hear, I'm using up data. I'm degrading the copy of myself that exists here." "What does that mean?" I asked, panic rising in my chest. "It means I don't have many of these conversations left in me," Marcus said. "Maybe a handful, maybe less. The more I interact, the more I fade. Eventually, there won't be enough of me left to form coherent thoughts, let alone reach out to you." "So, this is goodbye?" I said. "This is you telling me goodbye?" "Not yet," Marcus said, "but soon. And I needed to make sure that when that time comes, you'll be okay." "I won't be okay," I said. How could I be okay with losing you twice? You're not losing me twice, Marcus said. You're just accepting that you lost me once. The difference is that now you get to say the things you didn't get to say before. You get to ask me the questions you need answers to. You get to hear me tell you one more time how much I love you and how proud I am of you and how much I want you to be happy. The phone screen flickered slightly and Marcus frowned. The connection's getting unstable. I don't have much more time right now. When can you call again? I asked desperately. When can I talk to you again? I don't know, Marcus said. It depends on a lot of factors. But Sarah, listen to me. Don't wait by the phone. Don't put your life on hold hoping I'll call again. Promise me you'll start living again. Tomorrow, do one thing that scares you. Do one thing that's just for you. Start rebuilding your life. I can't promise that, I said. Yes, you can, Marcus insisted. You can because you love me and you know it's what I want. Please, Sarah, promise me. The screen flickered again, more severely this time. I have to go, Marcus said, but I'll try to reach out again when I can. I love you, Sarah. I never stopped loving you, and I never will. I love you too, I sobbed. Marcus, please don't go. Don't leave me again. Remember, Marcus said, his voice starting to break up, you're stronger than you think you are. You always have been. Be brave for me. Be happy for me. Live for both of us. The screen went black. Just like that, he was gone. I sat there in my bed, holding my phone, crying harder than I had cried since the day the police showed up at my door. But this time, the crying felt different. It felt like something was breaking open inside me, something that had been sealed shut for 6 months. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, I fell asleep with the phone still in my hand. When I woke up the next morning, I almost convinced myself it had been a dream. But when I checked my phone, there, and my call history, was a record of the video call. It had lasted exactly 11 minutes. And the caller ID still said Marcus Mitchell. I called Jenna immediately. She came over within 30 minutes, and I told her everything. I was sure she would think I had lost my mind. I was prepared for her to suggest therapy or medication or calling my doctor. But Jenna just listened to the whole story, and when I finished, she asked one simple question. Do you feel better or worse after talking to him? I thought about it. Better, I admitted. Confused and scared and sad, but also somehow better. Then it doesn't matter if it was real or not, Jenna said. If your brain needed to create that conversation to help you process your grief, that's okay. And if it really was Marcus somehow reaching out from wherever he is, that's okay too. Either way, he told you what you needed to hear. But was it real? I asked. Did that really happen? Does it matter? Jenna countered. I mean, think about it. Whether it was Marcus's consciousness trapped in digital space or your subconscious mind creating exactly the conversation you needed to have, the result is the same. You got to say goodbye. You got to hear him tell you to live your life. You got permission to move forward. I guess you're right, I said. But I want it to be real. I want to believe he's still out there somehow, even if it's just in the data. Then believe it, Jenna said simply. Who's it hurting? If believing that Marcus found a way to reach out to you one more time gives you comfort and helps you heal, then believe it. Over the next few weeks, I thought constantly about what Marcus had said, about being brave, about living fully, about not being invisible. I started small. I went for a walk outside every morning instead of just working from home all day. I called my mom, who I had been avoiding because talking to her made everything feel too real. I cleaned out some of Marcus's things from the closet. Not all of them. I wasn't ready for that. But some of them. I donated his clothes to a charity that helped homeless veterans because Marcus had always cared about that cause. I kept his favorite hoodie, the one he was wearing in the video call. I slept with it for a while. It didn't smell like him anymore, but holding it made me feel less alone. I also started taking photos again. I hadn't picked up my camera since Marcus died. Photography had been our thing together. He took photos with his phone, and I took photos with my actual camera, and we would compare them and argue about composition and lighting and all the technical stuff that nobody else cared about. Now I started documenting my own moments. The sunrise from my apartment window, my coffee cup on the kitchen table, Professor Whiskers sleeping in a sunbeam. They were small, ordinary moments, but they were mine, and capturing them made me feel like I was honoring what Marcus had taught me about preserving memories. One night, about 3 weeks after the first call, it happened again. I was sitting on the couch editing some photos on my laptop when my phone lit up. Another video call from Marcus Mitchell. This time, I didn't hesitate. I answered immediately. "Hey, sweetheart," Marcus said, smiling at me from the screen. "You look good. Did you do something different with your hair?" I touched my hair self-consciously. "I kind it, just a trim. But yeah." "It looks nice," Marcus said. "You always looked good with shorter hair. How are you? Where have you been?" I asked. "Can you tell me more about where you are? What it's like?" Marcus shook his head. "I don't have a lot of time again, and I don't want to waste it talking about me. I want to hear about you. What have you been doing? Have you been keeping your promise?" "I've been trying," I said. "I'm taking walks. I'm seeing my friends. I cleaned out some of your clothes." "That's good," Marcus said. "That's really good, Sarah. I'm proud of you." There was a pause, and then I asked the question I had been wondering about since the first call. "Marcus, how is this possible? How are you doing this?" "I told you," Marcus said. "I'm not entirely sure myself. The best I can figure is that consciousness isn't as tied to biology as we thought. When you create enough digital representations of yourself, when you capture enough moments and memories and thoughts, you're basically creating a map of your consciousness. And when my biological consciousness stopped, somehow the digital map was complete enough that it could continue existing independently." "So you're like, what, artificial intelligence?" I asked. "Not artificial," Marcus said. "Very real, just not biological anymore. Think of it like this. You know how people say you die twice, once when your body dies and once when someone says your name for the last time? Well, maybe there's a third death, when the last digital trace of you disappears. And as long as those traces exist, as long as the data exists, a version of me can exist within it." "But you said you're fading," I reminded him. "You said every time you do this, you're using yourself up." "Yeah," Marcus admitted. "That's the tricky part. Every time I coalesce enough to interact with the physical world, to make this phone call happen, I'm expending a lot of energy. I'm pulling data from multiple sources and compressing it into something coherent enough to think and speak. And that process damages the data. It's like making a copy of a copy of a copy. Eventually, the degradation becomes too severe." "How many more times?" I asked quietly. "How many more times can you call?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I don't know for sure. Maybe 2 more times, maybe 3, maybe this is the last one." I felt my throat tighten. What happens when you can't call anymore? What happens when you fade completely? "I don't know," Marcus said honestly. "Maybe I'll cease to exist entirely. Maybe I'll still be here, but unable to form coherent thoughts or communicate. Maybe I'll transition to something else entirely. I don't have answers, Sarah. I'm figuring this out as I go." "Are you scared?" I asked. "Of fading? Of disappearing?" "A little," Marcus admitted. "But mostly I'm at peace with it. I got to live a full life. I got to love you. I got to teach hundreds of students and hopefully make some kind of difference. And now I'm getting this bonus time to help you transition into the next phase of your life. That's more than most people get. I don't want you to go, I said, tears streaming down my face again. I know I'm supposed to be brave and move forward and all of that, but I don't want you to fade away. I don't want to lose you again. I know, Marcus said gently, but you're going to be okay. You're already doing so much better than you were a month ago. I can see it. You're starting to live again. That's all I wanted. Sarah, I need you to do something for me. What? I asked. When I'm gone, when I've faded completely and can't reach out anymore, I need you to delete all my photos and videos. His words hit me like a physical blow. What? No, Marcus, I can't do that. Those are all I have left of you. That's exactly why you need to delete them, Marcus said. As long as they exist, you're going to be tempted to live in the past. You're going to spend your time looking at old memories instead of creating new ones. You need to let me go, Sarah. Really let me go. I can't, I sobbed. I can't delete you. That would be like killing you myself. You're not killing me, Marcus said. I'm already gone, remember? You're just letting yourself heal. And you can't fully heal if you're constantly picking at the wound by looking at these photos and videos. But what if I forget? I asked. What if I forget what you looked like or what you sounded like? What if I forget the details? You won't forget the important things, Marcus assured me. You'll remember how you felt when you were with me. You'll remember the big moments. You'll remember the love. And that's all that really matters. The screen flickered. Marcus, don't go, I begged. Not yet, please. I'm sorry, Marcus said, and he actually looked sorry. I don't have control over when the connection drops. But Sarah, please think about what I said. About the photos. You don't have to do it right away, but eventually you need to let me go. Marcus, wait, I said urgently. I need to tell you something. Tell me, Marcus said. I forgive you, I blurted out. For what? Marcus asked, confused. For dying, I said. For leaving me. For getting in your car that morning and going to work and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. For making me love you so much that losing you almost destroyed me. I forgive you for all of it. Sarah, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm so sorry. I would give anything to still be there with you. I know, I said. I know you would. That's why I forgive you. And I need you to forgive me too. For what? Marcus asked. For not being ready to delete the photos yet, I said. For not being as strong as you want me to be. For needing more time. Sarah, Marcus said firmly, you don't need my forgiveness for that. You get to heal at your own pace. I just want you to promise me that you will heal, that you won't spend the rest of your life stuck in grief. I promise, I said. I promise I'll try. The screen flickered again, more severely this time. I love you, Marcus said. Always have, always will. Even when I'm completely gone, the love doesn't disappear. Energy can't be created or destroyed, remember? It just changes form. I love you too, I said. Marcus, thank you. For what? He asked. For finding a way to say goodbye, I said. For giving me closure. For telling me what I needed to hear. The screen went black again. This time, I knew it might be the last time. I sat there holding the phone, feeling the weight of everything Marcus had said. And I realized that even though I was crying, I wasn't drowning in grief anymore. I was sad, yes. I missed him, yes. But I also felt something else. I felt like maybe I could actually do this. Maybe I could actually survive losing him. Maybe I could even eventually thrive again. The next morning, I called a therapist. I had been avoiding therapy because I told myself I didn't need it, that I could process my grief on my own. But Marcus was right. I needed help. I needed professional guidance to work through this. The therapist's name was Dr. Helen Park, and our first session was exactly what I needed. She didn't try to minimize my pain or rush me through the stages of grief. She just listened and asked thoughtful questions and gave me tools to cope with the overwhelming emotions. I also started saying yes to things. Jenna invited me to a book club her friend was starting, and I went, even though being around new people felt terrifying. My coworker asked if I wanted to collaborate on a freelance project, and I said yes, even though it would have been easier to say no. My mom asked if I wanted to come home for Thanksgiving, and I agreed, even though the thought of spending the holidays without Marcus made me want to hide in my apartment. Each yes was hard. Each step forward felt like betraying Marcus somehow, like moving on meant forgetting him. But gradually, I started to understand what he had been trying to tell me. Moving forward wasn't about forgetting. It was about carrying the love with me instead of letting it pin me down. November came, and with it came the 6-month anniversary of Marcus's death. I had been dreading this day. I thought it would break me all over again. But when it arrived, I found myself feeling reflective rather than destroyed. I spent the morning looking through Marcus's photos one more time. I watched his videos. I cried, of course, but I also laughed at some of the silly moments he had captured. I remembered the good times without being crushed by the weight of their absence. That night, my phone rang again, the third call from Marcus Mitchell. I answered, already knowing this would probably be the last time. "Hey, sweetheart," Marcus said. His voice was slightly different this time, a little more distant, like a radio station that wasn't quite tuned in properly. "You noticed," Marcus said, reading my expression. "Yeah, I'm fading faster now. This is probably it, Sarah. This is probably the last time we'll talk like this." "I know," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I think I've been feeling it." "How are you doing?" Marcus asked, seriously. "Don't just tell me you're fine." "I'm actually okay," I said, and I meant it. I'm in therapy. I'm taking care of myself. I'm saying yes to things that scare me. I'm trying to build a life that honors what we had without being trapped by it. Marcus smiled, and even though his image was slightly pixelated, I could see the pride in his expression. That's exactly what I needed to hear. "Have you thought about what I said?" I asked. "About deleting the photos?" "I have," I said, "and I'm not ready yet. But I think I will be. Maybe in a few more months. Maybe by your birthday." "That's okay," Marcus said. "The important thing is that you're thinking about it, that you understand why it matters." "I do," I said. "I understand that I need to stop living in the past. But Marcus, even when I delete the photos, I'm never going to forget you. You changed my entire life. You taught me how to be brave and how to love without holding back and how to capture the moments that matter. Those lessons don't disappear just because the photos do." "Good," Marcus said. "That's good." His image flickered, and I could see him starting to fade. "Marcus, wait," I said. "Before you go, I need to ask you something." "Ask," Marcus said. "If you could go back," I said, "if you could change what happened that day, would you? Would you take a different route to work? Would you leave 5 minutes earlier or later so you miss that truck? Would you just stay home?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "If I could go back," he finally said, "I would kiss you one more time before I left. I would tell you I loved you instead of just waving goodbye. But would I change what happened? Would I avoid the accident? Sarah, I don't know. Because if I did, then this conversation would never happen. You'd never hear me tell you that you're strong enough to survive this. You'd never get the closure you needed. And maybe you'd spend the rest of our lives together, never fully appreciating what we had. So maybe it's better this way," I said.
Maybe it's better that you died and broke my heart and came back as digital ghost just to tell me to delete your photos." "No," Marcus said firmly. "It's not better that I died. It's terrible that I died. It's unfair and tragic, and it never should have happened. But since it did happen, at least something good came out of it. At least you're learning to be the person I always knew you could be, the person you were before you got scared of being seen." His image was fading rapidly now, becoming more transparent. "Sarah, I have to go," Marcus said. "The connection's failing, but I need you to know something. I need you to really hear this." "Tell me," I said, tears streaming down my face. "You're going to be happy again," Marcus said. "Maybe not tomorrow or next month or even next year, but eventually you are going to wake up one morning and realize that you're actually happy. You're going to meet someone new and you're going to love them, and it won't be the same as what we had, but it'll be good in its own way."
And when that happens, I don't want you to feel guilty. I want you to embrace it. I want you to build a whole new, beautiful life. "How can you say that?" I asked. "How can you tell me to fall in love with someone else?" "Because I love you," Marcus said simply. "And when you really love someone, you want them to be happy, even if you can't be the one making them happy. So promise me that when you're ready, you'll open your heart again." "I promise," I whispered. "Thank you, Sarah," Marcus said. "Thank you for 12 amazing years. Thank you for being my person. Thank you for loving me enough to let me go. Thank you for everything." And with that, he was gone. The screen went black for the final time. I sat there holding the phone, and instead of feeling devastated, I felt something unexpected. I felt grateful. Grateful for the time we had. Grateful for the impossible gift of getting to say goodbye properly. Grateful for the love we shared. And yes, grateful even for the pain, because the pain meant it had been real. 3 months later, on what would have been Marcus's 35th birthday, I finally did it. I backed up all his photos and videos to an external hard drive, and then I deleted them from his phone, from the cloud, from every digital space they existed in. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. My finger hovered over the delete button for a full 10 minutes before I could actually press it. But when I did, when I watched the progress bar slowly erase thousands of photos and hundreds of videos, I didn't feel like I was killing him. I felt like I was setting us both free. That night, I had a dream about Marcus. Not a nightmare, not a grief dream, but a simple, peaceful dream. We were sitting on our couch, and he was showing me photos on his phone, and I was laughing at something he said. And when I woke up, I realized that even though the digital files were gone, the memories remained. The love remained. He remained, not in data and pixels, but in the permanent mark he had left on my heart. 6 months after that, I was at a coffee shop working on a design project when someone sat down at the table next to me. We accidentally knocked elbows, reaching for our drinks at the same time, and we both laughed. His name was Daniel. He was a writer. We started talking, and before I knew it, 2 hours had passed. When he asked if he could take me to dinner sometime, I heard Marcus's voice in my head telling me to be brave. So I said yes. That first date with Daniel, I told him about Marcus. I told him everything. About the accident, about the grief, about the impossible phone calls from my dead husband, about deleting the photos, about learning to live again. I half expected him to run away or think I was crazy. But instead, Daniel just listened. And when I finished, he said, "It sounds like you were really loved." "I was," I said. And then, because I had learned to be brave, I added, "And I think I'm ready to be loved again." A year later, on the anniversary of Marcus's death, I did something I never thought I'd be able to do. I went to his grave for the first time since the funeral, and I didn't cry. Instead, I sat down on the grass and told him about my life, about Daniel and about the new job I had gotten, and about the photography exhibition I was planning, about all the ways I was living the life he had wanted for me. And as I sat there in the warm sun, telling my dead husband about my living life, I felt at peace,
because I finally understood what Marcus had been trying to teach me all along, that love doesn't end when someone dies. It transforms. It becomes part of the foundation on which you build everything else. Marcus was gone. Really, truly gone. There would be no more midnight phone calls, no more video chats with his digital ghost. The data had been deleted, the hard drive had been erased, but the love, the lessons, the impact he had made on my life, those were permanent. Those couldn't be deleted or corrupted or faded. And that's the thing about grief that nobody tells you. It doesn't get smaller. You get bigger. You grow around it. You build new rooms in your heart for new love, new joy, new experiences. But the grief is still there, a permanent resident, just taking up less proportional space. As I walked away from the cemetery that day, my phone buzzed in my pocket. For just a split second, my heart leapt, thinking maybe, just maybe, it was Marcus one more time. But it was Daniel, texting to ask if I wanted to grab dinner. And I smiled, because this was my life now, a life that honored my past while embracing my future, a life that held both grief and joy, both memory and hope, both endings and new beginnings. I texted back yes, and as I walked toward my car, I looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for loving me enough to make me promise to live. Thank you for teaching me that being seen is worth the risk of getting hurt. Thank you for everything." I don't know if you heard me. I don't know if consciousness really can survive in digital data, or if those phone calls were just my grieving mind creating what I needed to heal. But it doesn't matter. Real or not, those conversations changed me. They gave me permission to move forward. They reminded me that love doesn't end, it just changes form. And as I drove home to get ready for dinner with Daniel, I realized that Marcus had been right about everything. I was stronger than I thought. I was brave enough to start over. And I was, finally, after a year and a half of grief and growth and impossible midnight phone calls, I was ready to truly live again. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Share in the comments below. If this story moved you, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts on this story. On the screen, you can see 2 more stories that I think you'll love. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next story. With love and respect.